All right, so today we're looking at some notes from one of our listeners,
Yes.
and it's fascinating stuff about propagating mulberry.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is the really methodical way you're approaching this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it sounds like this comes from a long time spent breeding fish.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that kind of meticulous attention to detail that you need when you're working with fish
Yeah.
really does translate well into plant propagation. I
Right.
mean, thinking about water chemistry
Yeah.
and, observing subtle changes in fish behavior or, their health.
Right.
Those are skills that are going to come in really handy when you're
Exactly.
looking at those tiny little root initials on cuttings.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we really want to understand in this deep dive is kind of your process,
Mm-hmm.
the stages involved in growing new mulberry plants from cuttings, and what's driving this project.
Absolutely.
And we're calling you Ang today. And we're diving into your detailed notes here, which are called Notes on Gardening. Part 486.
Mm-hmm.
Propagating mulberry plant. Question mark.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yeah.
Let's think about that mindset first.
Okay.
You talk about in your notes how all that experience with fish breeding
Right.
really has shaped the way that you think about gardening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's this sequence that you go through.
Okay.
There's identifying what you want to grow, then you go into the research of
Right.
how to actually propagate it. Then you have to go out and get the plant material,
Right.
then the propagation itself, and then how do you go about cultivating it? So it's a very logical,
Yeah.
scientific almost flow.
It's like you're approaching it like it's a new fish species.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that your significant other identified this plant as a mulberry.
Right.
And it's interesting because you said that you initially preferred flowering plants
Yeah.
over trees.
Mhm.
So is this project kind of like signaling a shift in your gardening interest?
That's a really interesting point. Maybe you're looking for a different kind of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Um, that long-term kind of satisfaction of seeing something grow over many years.
Right.
But even though you have that preference for flowering plants,
Right.
you still went into that systematic process that we just talked about.
Yeah.
The research you've done shows that you can actually propagate mulberry using softwood cuttings,
Okay.
which is that new flexible growth,
Okay.
or hardwood cuttings, which come from the, more mature
Okay.
dormant stems.
Gotcha.
So you're looking at the practicalities right from the get-go.
Yeah. And your research even goes a step further than that.
Yeah.
You've identified 3 distinct phases of rooting,
Yes.
which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's all about understanding that process.
Yeah.
So first you have the initiation phase,
Right.
and you say that takes about 1 to 18 days.
That's a pretty long time.
It is. Yeah. That's when the cutting is really just adjusting to being in its new environment.
Right.
It's cut off from the mother plant now.
Yeah.
It's got to figure out,
It's got to make its own way.
yeah, how am I going to survive?
Yeah.
So it's gearing up to produce those roots.
Okay. So then after the initiation phase.
Then you get the callus formation phase,
Right.
and that's from day 18 to about day 28.
Gotcha.
Now, callus is really interesting stuff. It's
Yeah.
basically like the plant's natural bandage
Okay.
over that wound that you made when you took the cutting.
Yeah.
But importantly, that callus
Yeah.
is where the new roots are going to come from.
So the callus is like an important part of the...
Absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had the initiation phase.
Yep.
We got the callus.
Yeah.
What's next?
And then the final phase is that adventitious root formation and elongation phase.
Okay. So the actual roots.
Yeah, this is when they really start to grow out and establish that new independent plant.
All right.
And that happens between day 28 and day 48.
So basically all these timelines that you've laid out here
Yeah.
give you like a framework for actually watching these cuttings and seeing how they're doing.
Exactly. It's a roadmap to success.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. So you prefer flowering plants.
Right.
So what's motivating you to propagate this mulberry tree?
Well, I think there's a couple of things.
Yeah.
First of all, having those cuttings readily available makes it a lot easier.
Right, if you don't have to go searching for it.
Exactly. Yeah, and that makes experimentation much more appealing.
Right.
But I think what's really driving this is that intellectual curiosity
Okay.
and the desire to try a new propagation experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning and discovery for you
Yeah.
more than any particular plant type.
So it's that same drive that led you to fish breeding is
Yeah.
now leading you to...
Absolutely. It's that scientific mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about exploration.
Yeah. So to recap, you have this very structured approach. And it comes from years of working with fish.
That's right.
And now you're applying it to propagating mulberry. You've researched the techniques,
Yeah.
all the phases of rooting. And it seems like it's driven by opportunity and a genuine desire to learn something new.
Absolutely.
And I think what's really cool about this is that it shows how those core principles
Yeah.
of being very observant, being thorough with your research, and then actually getting your hands dirty could be transferred to all these different areas of interest.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's not just about getting more mulberry trees. It's about understanding the fundamentals of how plants reproduce, how they grow, how they respond to different conditions.
It's like you're a scientist, but in your garden.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Ang, we know you're very structured about this stuff. So, when you think about these 3 different rooting phases, the initial start the callus forming, and then the actual roots growing. What part of that are you most keen to actually see happen in real life?
That's a great question for you to think about.
Yeah.
You've moved from that theoretical knowledge to actually doing it.
Yeah.
So really think about what part of that process are you most excited to observe and document.
Yeah. It's really cool stuff. Thanks for letting us dig into your notes.
Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. See you next time.
Thanks.